All right, so today we're in conversation with Retief Neveling, who's a senior researcher in experimental nuclear physics at iThemba Labs. Retief, was science always a dream?
I don't know if it was always a dream, but I was always very curious. I remember reading about special relativity when I was a kid in one of the encyclopedias at home. This whole thing about time dilation was fascinating. So maybe it started there. I don't know.
All right, so it's all about creativity, it's about searching for the unknown. But what exactly do you do as an experimental nuclear physicist?
There's never a standard day, but you could say in broad strokes that I have to come up with ideas to understand nuclear structure, ideas for experiments. I have to do the experiments, I have to analyze the results and then publish the data. So I do that within collaborations, I do that for students, I do that together with people from various universities all over the world. It could mean that for a whole day I spend working on a detector, nuts and bolts type of things, or I spend the whole day in front of my computer doing the data analysis. So it really varies. There's never a boring moment and it's always changing.
But I mean, thinking of experiments probably suggests that you need to be creative. You need to be able to visualize things. So how do you do that? How do you think about the stuff that you can't see?
You have to start somewhere, right? So you don't just shoot from the hip. You know what's the current state of knowledge, and it's never going to be complete. And there's always open questions. And you work towards answering some of those questions. You look at what's interesting for you, what's possible. Maybe it's not possible yet, so you build a new detector. You come up with a new way of creating an environment where the thing that you want to see is most likely to be populated.
So earlier you spoke about detectors, you talked about nuts and bolts. So what is some of the infrastructure that you play around with at iThemba Labs?
We have quite a wide variety of detection systems. It can go from multi-ton magnetic systems with associated gas detectors to very small 50-100 micron thick silicon detectors. It all depends on what you want to measure, the energies and the resolution, and also whether you want to see particles or photons. We have many toys that we can play with.
Many expensive toys, I would imagine.
Many expensive toys, we take good care of them. One of the latest systems that we have is called ALBA, and it's an array of lanthanum bromide crystals, scintillating detectors, which gives you good resolution, energy resolution, and also what we call fast detectors. So all the information is bunched in quite a small time range, so the detector can do very high rate measurements. And we have 21 of these detectors, and it's state of the art. One of the labs in the world that's got quite a high number of these detectors, so it's quite special.
So there's advances in terms of technology. Your detection capabilities are getting better. So I would imagine that you probably make new discoveries or see things that you didn't know existed before.
Yes, it's amazing on some of the topics or some of the nuclei or atoms that you think we would know everything. We're still making new discoveries. For example, carbon-12, which is the isotope of carbon that's got 6 neutrons. Making 6 protons makes it carbon, and then 6 neutrons makes it carbon-12. And it's about 99% of all carbon that you find in nature. So we still learn new things about the structure of this nucleus. We are making these discoveries at the iThemba Labs. These new structure qualities that we learn about are interesting. It can help us understand how very hot stars create energy. But it's not just about the basic research. The information that we gain can also help us add more data to existing data tables, which are ultimately used in understanding the interaction of radiation with biological matter. Which would be very interesting and very important. For example, if you want to go to Mars, you want to know what's going to be the impact on the human body for such a long trip. You need to model many things, and a lot of the models need data, and the data is what we can provide.
But often when people talk about research, they want to talk about impact, but I'm getting the sense that there's a need for us to also focus on the need to do research for the sake of research, trying to find answers to questions that we didn't even think of. So in essence, what fuels you? What drives you? What gets you out of bed?
I like solving problems. I like finding out new things. And I like being part of this whole enterprise that we call science. It's just a word. You could say that it's just describing basic human curiosity. And it's not just in physics, it's in all fields of science. There are many discoveries in the past 100, 200 years that led to people getting Nobel Prizes that have changed our lives completely. Think of the transistor or the laser, or even special relativity, which even though it seems very esoteric, it's very important to have accurate GPS readings on Earth. So I cannot claim that the work that I do is going to result in a Nobel Prize, but I know that I'm part of this human endeavor that's called science, that's building up knowledge. And eventually that knowledge will help create a better world, will be used as data for modeling that will help us to make better isotopes or more isotopes that can be used in hospitals. So I'm proud to be part of that whole endeavor, chipping away at the block bit by bit. Because you don't make these big discoveries without building a body of knowledge, and we are building a body of knowledge. And that's what basic science is to me.
So it's about this environment that allows different people to step in and bring their own gifts and talents to the table. And in that collective, we end up creating something that's bigger and better.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool being called a rocket scientist, I would imagine, as well.
Yes, it is. And it's very nice to have as a job description to be curious. Go find out stuff. It's a privilege to have a job like that.
Ladies and gents, there we have it. Retief Neveling, our rocket scientist who enjoys asking questions, who lives a life of curiosity, and who encourages others to join this action.